just got off the phone with Greg Butler, the director at Hickson Utility District, and I was asking about the next board meeting in that district in Hickson, that water district that has maybe 25, nearly 30,000 customers, all of whom are given with every drink and with every shower, with every watering of the garden, every dousing of the hands in the sink, a bit of fluoride. Hydrofluorosilicic acid is an additive that this district puts into the water supply. The Hickson Utility District draws from a tremendous aquifer, a beautiful aquifer beneath it, and serves the part of Chattanooga north of the Lake Chickamauga and the dam. And the customers are satisfied. They drink their water, they use it, but there has been a protest against fluoridation. And that is something that Greg Butler says will not be considered at the board meeting. It's 4 p.m. Friday here in Hickson, right not too far from our studios here. And the board will not entertain anything about fluoride. It is not on the agenda. He says the board has made its views known about fluoride. His decision is final, he says, and there is not much more to say than that. And so there's really nothing to do, and he is not going to give an interview about it. I pointed out to him news in his trade with which he already is familiar, and that is the passage by the Jonesboro, Tennessee commissioners in Washington County in the tri-state area, which overturned the practice of fluoridation in that district, according to news reports passed along to me by groups that are against fluoridation, as we are. My name is David Tulis, and we here at Nooga Radio are very much against fluoridation because it is a health hazard. It is a way of providing a medical treatment apart from a doctor's prescription. You have instead water plant operators giving dosage prescriptions for everybody. The intended beneficiaries are small children who have teeth. Most small children do, and teeth that are said to have a benefit in the area of bone hardening. The enamel on young children's teeth is said to be safely hardened by the ingestion, the drinking of hydrofluorosilicic acid in the water supply. Of course, it's very diluted, but it is something that is so dangerous that the warnings against ingestion of hydrofluorosilicic acid are on every tube of toothpaste. And the plant managers here in Hickson and in Jonesboro have to deal with the problem of corrosion that this acid brings to the equipment, to the pipes, to the concrete floors in the fluoride room of the district here in Chattanooga. It pits the concrete and wears and corrodes fittings and pipes in Hickson Utility District. And yet the board is not going to hear anything about it, even though it's expensive to buy tons and tons of fluoride every year to put into the water supply. It costs, it affects the capital investment of the utility district by damaging its equipment, and has unknown dangers to the public here in Chattanooga, unknown dangers to people in Hickson who drink the water of the district. I propose that you do one thing. It's easy, doesn't take a lot of effort, and that is to go to the Hickson Utility District website. Just look it up on Google and go to the contact window and leave a note to the board. Leave a note. So if you and one other person send an email to the board saying, please, we ask you to take fluoride out of the water, and state your reasons. If two people let the board know, the board might reconsider. Okay, you and one other person can do that, and the board might say, we've just misread things. We've misread public opinion, and so we're going to reread the voluminous scientific reports from the dental industry and the fluoride chemical industry, insisting that ingestion of this poison is healthy and has benefits for teeth. We might reconsider these claims in light of public resistance. So that is what I propose that you do. My listener here, David Tulis at Nooga Radio, the station for the man who matters, and indeed increasingly popular. And you know why we're becoming increasingly popular? And in fact, the whole Nooga Radio Nooganomics platform is becoming increasingly popular. And that's because you, my listener, have told a friend about my program and about our terrific station and all the wonderful shows that we have. And he is joining. And so we are doubling and tripling our utility, our usefulness in the marketplace. Nooga Radio, the platform findable on YouTube right now. You can see if my bow tie works. It's actually not in perfect order. Let me just check the screen here for the larger screen on YouTube. Yeah, I fixed it here. Straightening it out just a little bit there. And also on Facebook, here in my studio, you can kind of nose in on the proceedings of the David Tulis program, where we think about everything and ask the right questions. The questions matter usually more than the answers. If the answers are from officials, you can be sure that the answer is often just a kind of a guess, and that the question matters. Now, you see the question that I asked today at Nooganomics.com. It was Tuesday, in which I posed this question in person to the lawyer who refused to call me back. the mouthpiece and face, the legal visage, if you will, of the town of Dunlap, Tennessee, who is harassing at the mayor's behest an elder couple, the Gaddys, Mr. and Mrs. Gaddy, Thomas and Carol by name, and trying to get them out of their house long enough to inspect said house for danger. It has been declared by the judge a nuisance house, a dangerous place, threatening, imperiling the public health and welfare and members of the public who might stand anywhere nearby on the acre lot near Coops Creek there that runs right through town. The house being about 2 blocks, it's a carbine shot away from City Hall and Attorney Stephen Greer's red brick office there at the light, the only light, I think, well, one of the main, maybe a couple lights going through Dunlap, and there is that office and the mayor's palace there in the old bank in Dunlap. And I asked the question of the attorney, well, and the question was, does the city of Dunlap have to obey the charter provision requiring all actions under the ordinance to be heard first in city court? He said, no, it's rightly in chancery. And then I said, well, there's a provision that in the charter that says that all actions, and I emphasize the word all, have to be heard in city court. And he said, there's no such provision. And why would an attorney tell that to me? I mean, you can just Google Dunlap, City of Dunlap, TN ordinance or city charter, and there it is. It's just go down, do a find on city court, and to save you the trouble of having to do that, I have done a screen grab on that part of the charter. It's very billowing charter language, and nailed it down for you, and you can see for yourself. And the analysis is that I offer to you is that I give a strict reading to the statutory language granted as a grant from the General Assembly, private law it's called. I give a strict reading, and the attorney gives a loose and airy reading of the meaning. Yes, the hounding of the Gaddys can take place in Chancery Court, theoretically, but only in the absence of language that says that all actions under ordinances have to be heard in city. So what's happening is that we have a court, we have a Chancery Court in Sequatchie County, which has no authority to act against these people, and yet is threatening them with the demolition of their house. That's the end result. If you don't let us inspect your house, we're going to demolish it. That is the threat. It's an amazing threat. It's just breathtaking. I mean, the boldness of these public officials is simply, well, I would just say it's admirable. It's just admirable. And here we have this Christian couple, principled people, saying, no, we're not allowing an inspection, and no. And that's what happened. Find out what happened, and look at the handsome visage of this attorney pacing about outside the gate there, the chain link gate with the wheels rolled back and forth, not letting him in. They did not try Tuesday to break through. They did not attempt to cut the chain link fence and to enter said premises by force of the police, though Chief Clint Huth was there to make sure everybody was safe. That was yesterday. So we asked the right question, and that is the question, how is it that Chancery Judge Thomas Graham has any authority? And if he has no authority under law, under statute, and under ordinance, well, then is he acting in his personal capacity? And if he's acting in his personal capacity, that means he does not enjoy judicial immunity, right? State officials, town officials, government officials generally have a thing called immunity, and it's a vast thing. They can effectively do no evil with said protections. And yet here, if there's no jurisdiction, the judge acts in his personal capacity. I don't think, even if I were a smart judge like Thomas Graham, that I would be venturing to do that, to act on my personal authority. When the language from the General Assembly, the law says that all cases under the ordinance have to be heard in the city court. Now, you might say, well, you're just trying to overturn this whole process that's gone on for nearly 2 years that's been in Chancery. You're trying to say it has to start all over in city court. And I'm saying, well, yes, that's exactly right. It has to be done properly by the law. So here we have a vague law, so ostensibly some kind of law that this house has to be inspected, apart from a warrant of a criminal claim or a criminal witness or criminal oath as to a criminal act having been committed there. Apart from any of that, we have power to enter your property under an administrative authority, because that's all cities are. They administer the law for the legislature in that limited area. That's why cities are created by private law. Private law for that jurisdiction cut out from the state. and I when I write the story, I'm always just amazed at the courage, the boldness of these elected officials to hound and harass these families, this family. You won't find out about this case anywhere in the media, because the media does not think that constitutional rights are important. The media does not think that the right to be secure in your papers, persons, and estate matter. And that's why this is not a story for the media. Even Ben Benson from the Chattanooga Times-Free Press, probably very sympathetic, would probably give a good write-up about what's going on, has not been there. He has not filed a report, of which I'm aware. And you will find out about it only here at Nooga Radio, the station, the multimedia platform, on Facebook, on TuneIn Radio, on YouTube, and at the website for the man who matters, Nooganomics. Only there will you find out about this matter. Now, there are Christian ministers who are concerned about an industry which I have defended. Now, this is a very unusual situation, because here David Tulis, the defender of the free market, has stood his ground on behalf of the most wicked, evil industry in Tennessee. And it's not prostitution. It is the payday loan industry. And if you go to Nooganomics.com, you can hear the details. But there's a group of ministers under the Tennessee Pastors Network, and a survey went out to about 3,500 ministers in Tennessee, names gathered by David Fowler from the Family Action Coalition. And it's about the payday loan industry and predatory lending. Pastors expressed a great desire, 81%, to have more information and resources to address predatory loans. This was a significantly greater percentage than the number of pastors surveyed in 9 states last year. There's a minister involved in this, Dale Walker, who's the president. He says that the results of the survey are disturbing. Overall, 17% of Christians have taken payday loans, 20% of Protestants, 12% of Catholics, and half of black Christians, half of black people in the Christian church have taken payday loans, and a quarter of Hispanics who are believers in the Lord Jesus out a payday loan. And do you believe laws or regulations should prohibit lending at excessive interest rates? This query said. I think it's kind of a difficult line of questioning, because what is excessive? It's really hard to say. A similar number, 94%, of these ministers say lenders should only make loans with reasonable interest that can be repaid within the original loan period. And Christians say churches should give counseling about payday loans. More than half want to see their churches offer guidance for people with financial needs, people who end up being customers of this, what nearly called reprehensible industry. 56% favor guidance. Without a doubt, Pastor Walker says this is a powerful comment on the predatory lenders in general, but particularly on the questionable practices surrounding the used car auto loan business as practiced by many independent auto lots that appear to be multiplying rapidly. He says in communities with the most vulnerable neighborhoods, he says, we found these loan companies don't care if you're a Baptist, Catholic, Presbyterian, the most vulnerable of our society, the very people who our ministers are dedicated to helping. Well, why do we have the payday loan industry to begin with? This is a question that we have to ask, and it comes about through lethargy and indifference, and you might say an obsequiousness and obedience, if you will, by employers to government and to custom. And the problem is that people who run businesses don't pay their employees promptly, right? That is why we have the payday loan industry. It exists because employers, maybe like you, my listener, take 2 weeks to pay your staff member, take 2 weeks to pay the man who runs the loading dock outside your factory, 2 weeks, sometimes a month, to pay the woman who files your customers' documents digitally, and some of them in paper in that second office down the hall. That woman is desperate for money, and you, my listener, are paying her once a month. That means that on a particular day, let's say the first day of the cycle, she has to wait for 30 days to get paid for the work done on that day. Why is that? Why are you not paying her promptly? We have pointed out that here at Nooga Radio, we have pointed out that this is ungodly. There are requirements in the scriptures that say that a worker is to be paid promptly, even that day. Here we have an agricultural society in ancient Israel. We have a call here that's going to interrupt this discussion, but let's take it. This is David Tulis. Caller, you're on the air.
There's a reason why only 25% of Chattanooga goes to church, and you're pointing out the reason. This frivolous stuff. There's a need for that. If there wasn't a need, it wouldn't be there. We're not predatory. The predatory, the preachers are. When they ask you for your money and end up wasting you on frivolous stuff like this. I mean, what happens if somebody needs tires and they don't have money? And they're a woman with 2 kids living paycheck to paycheck. I think 4 tires are like $962. Where do they get that money? You can't go to the scummy banks who create it from thin air. They're not going to give it to you. I mean, it's a voluntary exchange. It's none of their business. You know, all of a sudden they're going to save you from yourself. Well, I say this. Every preacher that wants to do that, you better have your wallet ready to help these people when they're in need and they're desperate for diapers or formula or their car breaks down. What do you think?
Well, I'm not going to go that far. I think the problem is not with men of the gospel, but the problem is with employers. Employers are told, do not withhold good from those to whom it is due, when it is in the power of your hand to do so. Do not say to your neighbor, go and come back, and tomorrow I will give you when you have it with you. That's in Proverbs chapter 3. Wealth gained by dishonesty will be dismissed, we're told, but he who gathers by labor will increase. Proverbs 13:11. The scriptures, just so you'll know, favor equity, and they favor just treatment and justice among people. And here's a verse about the poor man. You shall not oppress a hired servant who is poor and needy, whether one of your brethren or one of the aliens who is in your land within your gates. Each day you shall give him his wages. Hear that? Each day you shall give him his wages, and not let the sun go down on it. For he is poor and has set his heart on it, lest he cry out against you to the Lord, and it be sin to you. You shall not cheat. That's Deuteronomy 24, verse 15 and 16. You shall not cheat your neighbor, nor rob him. The wages of him who is hired shall not remain with you all night until morning. That's Leviticus chapter 19. Now, employers say that we pay once a month or every 2 weeks because we're required to. Well, you know, you can work around these alleged requirements. I've not done any reporting on the reasons why employers pay so late and so long. It might be worth some reporting work. I haven't done that. We know it's taking place because people are not paid every week. And if you know a place that pays daily, please let me know. I would like to promote that business and do all I can to support that business. That's a godly reform needed in the world of employment, here in the local economy, here in the free market in Chattanooga. My name is David Tulis, and I'm glad you're giving me a couple of minutes of your time. Go to Nooganomics.com, our chief sponsor. I can tell you what you should do. Subscribe to the website for the man who matters, David Tulis.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world. News Talk 1240.
April 40 New Radio News, Russell Stroud reporting. The Chattanooga Police Department has unveiled 15 cameras which will be placed around the city in order to monitor crime like a CCTV system. They'll be able to monitor them live from their Chattanooga Police Department laptops and from the Real-Time Crime Center. The CPD has released a list of where the cameras will be placed, but they've made a note that they will be easily movable, so the list is very much not permanent. Another shooting in Chattanooga, this one on Tuesday night, when Robert Blocker, who's 36, was shot. He drove himself to the hospital, where staff reported his condition to the police. He's suffering from only minor gunshot wounds, and the gunman is still somewhere on the loose. A new proposal for the city is being developed by Chris Anderson and Chip Henderson regarding services like Airbnb and other short-term rental services. A previous proposal was shot down by the city council, as they said that residents had concerns about the rentals in their own neighborhoods. A man has been arrested after a series of thefts from the Orchard Knob Elementary School. Laptops and TVs were taken, and Adrian Morrison has now been arrested. Police say he confessed to the crime.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world. News Talk 1240.
Final expenses, funeral costs, cemetery lots, unpaid medical bills, probate costs, debts. Debts are due and payable upon death of debtor. Will these costs produce a burden and hardship on your loved ones? Who will be responsible? How will they handle them? These costs can total many thousands of dollars, only compounding greater with the grief of losing a family member. A safe and secure way to provide for these costs is with an affordable life insurance from Covenant Group Insurance and Financial Services. Covenant Group is a local company with local agents. Covenant Group still makes house calls. Covenant Group only represents A-rated companies. With many options to offer, Covenant Group can accommodate almost any budget. Great discounts for good health and plans available for impaired risk. Call today for free, no-obligation consultation in the convenience of your home. Call Steve or Jada at 423-855-8484. Call today, 423-855-8484.
$25 goes by quickly these days, and 25 cents still just a quarter. 25 is the years of experience Schultz & Associates puts behind filing your tax return quickly, correctly, and electronically. Schultz & Associates.
Hi, I'm Chip Chapman with this question. Are you concerned about getting a timely refund this year? There is a solution. Ask Schultz & Associates about Refund Advantage. It's a no-interest loan that allows you to get your tax refund quickly. But some tax refund product fees do apply, so make sure and understand the details. You can receive your refund quickly via check or prepaid credit card. Ask about Refund Advantage when you visit Schultz & Associates, 6310 Bonnie Oaks Drive, or call 899-1130. Schultz & Associates.
Baseball selectors often wear the number 25, or 25 is a full MLB roster. Just happens 25 is also the years of experience Schultz & Associates puts behind filing your tax return quickly, correctly, and electronically. Schultz & Associates, 899-1130.
Oh, he's got bad breath and one piece slobber. But your dog's teeth are important for his health. The canine dentist at Wolf Fever has an offer. Listen, ultrasonic cleaning, polishing, x-rays, only $135. Ordinarily, you'd pay $175. For a few days, pay only $135 and get $115 in freebies as a thank you. Grooming, boarding at the inn at Wolf Fever. Act this week. Use anytime this year. Floss and rinse now. 344-1913. WolfFever.com. Your marriage is over. You've been abandoned, betrayed. You're angry, shattered, and heartbroken. Don't go it alone. When you are facing divorce, you need an experienced advocate to help protect your rights in the future. And you need it from a man with a sympathetic heart, but a hard nose. Attorney Clay Whitaker will fight for you in this most confusing and bitter time. in your life. Clay Whitaker, 756-6400.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world. News Talk 1240.
Expect a wet start here Tuesday. A few early showers, but they'll be heading to the east with drier, breezy, and cooler weather ahead. Highs only near 50 tonight. Clear, cold lows 29 to 31. For Thursday, highs into the mid and upper 50s. Lots of sun, warmer for Friday. Looking for your dream home? McBride Realty can help. With decades of experience, they get big-time results with small-town values. Licensed for the tri-state area. Check McBrideRealty.com for their complete listings. And I'm Storm Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Matt Core on AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world. News Talk 1240.
This is David Tulis, and I'm glad you're giving us a couple of minutes here at Nooga Radio. One of the arguments of our program is that near is better than far, that small is better than big, simple than complex, and down the footnotes where even there, the enemy, which you might say national economy, the good people, even there, the enemy fight us, and they insist that corporate is better than personal and abstract is better than physical. But we say no. We are the naysayers. But I would say that here at Nooga Radio, we're not just about saying no. We're about saying yes. We're not just against things like a lot of conservatives are and a lot of liberals. I think we would like to distinguish ourselves by being for things, for certain ideas and concepts. Many of them, I would say, are connected with the Christian doctrine of sanctification. And if you hadn't ever heard of that, that simply means the process and work of becoming holy, right? Becoming holier than you are, having less sin in your life and more virtue, right? Less grievances against God, actions that offend God, and more that are within the grid contemplated by His law. You might say His framework for living. The Ten Commandments could be a good summary of what that system implies and requires. To look at some of these questions and to hone in on how that works out in your daily life, how you live out, you might say, the local economy of life. We have here Dustin Sprick, who's a dad of 4 children, 3 boys and a daughter. Their ages are 4 to 10. He and his wife, Allison, live in Appleton on 6 acres. He's a programmer and works at home for a company out in California that deals with medical imaging. And specifically, his job now has been working on the management software part of that business as an employee. Well, Dustin, how is it that you've ended up in Appleton? You're not a Chattanooga native-born son, are you?
No. Basically, I grew up in Oregon, which is very different here than here in the South, and I really enjoyed the progress that I made from the West down here. Big change in how people think and what's important. So,
well, it seemed to me that Oregon has a lot of the ideas present among common people that we have here, right? Is it not sort of independent spirited and sort of community minded? A lot of small towns in Oregon. Is that not?
It does have that, but you have your dominating areas like Portland, Oregon, that just sort of suck all attention to themselves because they're so big. So, yeah, I grew up, in Eugene, which was more of a smaller town, and learning how to swim, doing that kind of thing through high school, and then moving to Colorado when I met my wife there in Colorado at a Navigators camp for kids. We were both. She was a camper and I was a counselor, and it was exciting.
Well, you've lived here for 3 years now, and why did you choose Appleton and not, let's say, Ottawa or Saudi Daisy or maybe our thriving downtown?
Well, I started out in Ottawa, and my in-laws, my wife's parents, lived there. So we sort of moved over here because we had 4 kids. We're like, well, we should be around grandparents. Grandparents should be part of the raising of my children. So we moved here specifically to get close to them, to create that small, knit group of community. And then we went ahead and moved farther out once we were here.
And so why 6 acres? Why not just half an acre in a subdivision?
I have 4 kids. So what I've kind of discovered when I grew up is that the only thing really to do in Oregon, especially during the winter when it rains, is that you play video games or you read books. And that's it, because there's nothing to do outside. So that here, in Tennessee, it does rain, but it rains for like an hour and then it's done. And so a big portion of that is going to be for my kids. I want them to be able to experience raising chickens, have that kind of responsibility. That's not just the house and going online, going outside of the home community. That's Allison and I and her parents.
One of the arguments of our show, Dustin's Brick, is that the idea of local economy creates capital. Now, there are various kinds of capital. One that I want to ask you about is social capital. Social capital is value that accrues to various people. How would you discuss social capital? How would you define it, and say why our listeners should care about having more social capital and seeking out to create it? What is it?
Well, if you give all your wealth away, you don't have any wealth. So if you keep it inside of a community.
You mean your wealth is in dollars?
I mean my wealth is in my time and attention, money. And so what I would do is spend your time and attention on those things that are closest to you. That should be the majority of your attention, because you're investing in those resources as they grow up. As in my case, my kids. My wife could be working, but right now she does homeschooling in order to basically create a little bit stronger community with our kids, so that both Allison and I have more attention and time spent towards them. That will pay off in the end.
So you're saying that the time you give to the close proximity to your sons and daughter, that's a form of creating capital.
Yeah. So by doing that, I'm instilling in them character that they're not going to learn from somebody else. So they're going to get the characters and values that both Allison and I have, as opposed to somebody else's that I have no control over. That I may or may not agree with. In a lot of cases, I will disagree with. So this allows me to make my own mistakes. Obviously, as a parent, I'm going to make those, but they're going to be my mistakes and not somebody else's.
Well, what's implied in the word capital in this context? Pursue the idea a little further.
All right. So when I'm investing in my kids, I'm investing in their future and my future, because they're going to be the ones, in a sense, that I depend on when I get old. The roles are going to be reversed, and my kids are going to be taking care of me and my wife at some point.
And that's why wealthy men, even billionaires, are scrupulous about saving pennies and driving old cars and driving flying second class sometimes, because they're not sure about the future. So they want the money that they're saving to be of service to them in the future, and when they're decrepit, maybe. And so you, in the same way, are investing in your children because there's a return. Are you doing all these things, Dustin, because you want that, or is that just an indirect or oblique benefit?
Well, the model of the beginning church in Acts is a model of a home church. So for us, starting in the home is the logical first step to creating my community that I want to live in and be a part of and hold up and encourage. So if I start with my family and then I move out, so let's say the people that I go to Sunday school with or something like that, right now I'm creating a community with them, and we're discussing life choices and how to best raise kids and all that fun things and challenging things. And so by doing that, I am extending my community just outside of my immediate family. And then hopefully what will happen is we'll kind of create an in-group there, and then we'll be able to go and do things in the greater community and help in that way. like projects or something like that for people next to us or something, or spending our time and our attention to create positive influences on our kids specifically as a group.
What's the difference between community and network?
So the community that I have is going to be based on my values. And since I value God, that creates my first priority is, or my first hierarchy is God's instruction, and then it falls down from there. So if I didn't have God as my first priority, it wouldn't be, my community would kind of be frazzled. It would be only on things that I'm interested at the time, or things that help me, or self-interested, versus externally interested in the sense where God is external. So I'm trying to serve him first. And by doing so, I'm going to end up serving those around me as opposed to just serving myself.
So is that the world of community versus the world of the network?
Yeah. Network.
How does the network contrast that with the idea of network?
All right. So a network would be like those groups of people that I do things with. Let's say I personally, as a fun thing that I do is I play role-playing games, and those things are like Dungeons and Dragons or something like that, as a fun, creative way for me to kind of get out of my very logical job, which is programming, and explore with my friends the world that we create. So that would be a network, because they don't all hold the values that I hold, and their goals are not at all what my goals are. So it's just that one thing that I'm interested in and that we all have in common. And hopefully out of that, I can share my values and my systems in maybe an indirect way or a direct way at times to them.
Well, it sounds like you're saying that in community, there's more of the involvement of the soul, and the ideas of each member of that community of the higher authority. In your case, it would be God. God is the highest authority, and you live under his protection, under his providence. And so your community and the members of that community all have in some way a recognition of that, and there is a kind of amity and familiarity and familialness even among the members, even though they're not all members of the same family necessarily, as you're describing it in its outward growth. And a network is dealing with a specific interest, like say a business interest, a marketing interest, or someone who makes model planes like you do and has a great collection. Those are networks, right? They're very specifically oriented about gaining for yourself some benefit of having people in the same field.
Yeah. So the networking that I would have specifically would be like my work network, right? The guys that I work with, those guys, if they were closer, some of them I would spend a lot more time with. But since I telecommute right now, some of them work in Georgia, and then some of them work in an office in California. And, so the FaceTime that we would get, which I think is pretty crucial to creating a really good community, is just missing. So it's difficult to create real strong relationships that way, ones that you would, do anything for that guy that you live next to for 10 years, and you went over to his house every night and had a beer or something like that. That would be something that you would be more inclined to help that guy, as opposed to someone that you know through a work or a sport or something like that just, you like the guy, but if he's in hard times, well, I'm in hard times, so.
Right. The network doesn't create that doesn't create that desire to invest. I say invest social capital, or even say spiritual capital, Dustin.
Right. and I think you find that a lot of times with online communities, things that you do, like people with Facebook or something like that. Unless they're your personal base friends, it just serves to take a lot of your time and attention, your wealth, away from what things that are actually important.
And I find that, Dustin, that when I hear tales of woe or distress, or my mother's on her deathbed, stories like that of people I know on Facebook, somehow it becomes just theater. It's all the passing scene. And with this, I can hit a like, or now I can put an icon that shows tears or some emotive sympathy. And I can pass on without praying for that person, without stopping to think about that person, or without thinking, I need to call him or call her and maybe offer to stop by with a meal. These ideas don't really come when it's all passing digitally on the screen that way.
Right. Yeah, you're going to lose a lot of the facial expressions and cues that you would need in order to make, informed decisions. Are they actually telling you the truth? Are they being real? Those things are just, you can mask that when it's just text. So,
well, some of the writers that I take a great interest in, Dustin, discuss how it is we've lost community. And one analysis says that we've all become consumers, and we've been made consumers by media culture, by the academic marketing culture. And Charles C. Smith, for example, says that consumerism is a sociopathological construct. And in consumerism, we find our identity in the marketplace, but not like in the marketplace, in the local economy marketplace or the communitarian marketplace that you're describing, but the marketplace of buying and selling in commerce of branded goods, sale goods, gadget goods, pleasure goods, all obtained, and we make, he suggests, a kind of identity based on these constructs of being part of a brand, being part of a hip movement, being current, being with it, saying the right things, having the right products on display, and so on. That there's a kind of consumerism that is he says it's lethal, and I think many of the agrarian writers such as Wendell Berry, who has one book called "What Are People For," and others say that because we have become consumers, we're not really people as much anymore. And how, if assuming for a moment that that's true, how in your life are you suggesting, and talking about your own life, how would you suggest that the reader, the listener, can make amends and turn himself away from that perspective?
Okay, so one of the things that I've been learning recently is I've been training up for a half marathon, which I've never been a runner, so this is something is kind of new for me. Is that I tried it out when I started running. I just started running like 3 miles. All right, so I'm just going to run 3 miles and do my best. So when I did that, I hurt myself. I started out, because I'm not a runner, I started out a little too quickly, and I pushed myself too rapidly. And so one of the things that I've learned as I get older, and it's hard to do that when you mentally don't think you are, is that it's difficult to take those baby steps at first, because you really want to push yourself. I'm kind of like a go get 'em. I'm a sprinter. I want to get out there and get it done. And so what I learned with my wife's help is do things slowly, right? So you want to take one step at a time. So if you're kind of addicted to certain things, so that would be like watching a certain TV show, things that suck up your time, and use it for things that you're like, well, I don't know if I really should be using all my time for that. Take steps. Do it one thing at a time. Make it like, all right, I'm only going to watch it for 1 hour a week or something like that, as opposed to 2. A lot of times I've found is that if you take those one steps, the one steps, and then keep going and persist and fall down and revert and then get back up and then take that next step again and just keep working at it, eventually you're going to achieve your goal. So in our case, what I would be saying is that, like, if you wanted to invest in your community, do it in small steps, right? So I'm starting with my family and immediately to the next group, and then I'm going to go even farther into the business area. Like if I had an issue with my car or something like that, I'm going to go to the guy that's local or the guy that goes to my church. I'm going to pick him over somebody that's commercial and I might get a cheaper deal on or something like that. I'm going to spend the extra $10, $50 for that guy to make sure that guy stays in business, because they have the same or similar beliefs to me, and so I'm supporting that in concept.
Well, let's go back just a little bit. You mentioned you're taking care of your family, you're investing in your family, and then you're starting to work out. Well, give an example of who that person in the immediate outward circle would be. I often use as my example of that person, the divorced woman with 2 sons whose car hasn't had an oil change in 46,000 miles. That's kind of my example. What would you offer?
So what I would say, it's even smaller than that. I mean, like it's your best friend, right? That guy, his kids, and then as a group, because by yourself, you just don't have time right now. I mean, you're going in different directions. You work 40, 50, 60 hours a week or something like that, and you got to get your kids to gymnastics or swimming or soccer or basketball, right? So a lot of your time and attention are focused on that. So you don't have a lot of extra time. And so if you can get that next step, which is your buddy, and then you guys get on board and you say, okay, there's this person down the street. So you're going from a little step to just a little bit more, and then you're saying, okay, well, that person right there, they have a leaky roof, and it's a widow. Her kids are out of town. She just doesn't have a lot of communication. It's hard for them to get there. They have struggles on their own, and you're going to take care of that person with you and the guy that is your buddy, and maybe have a circle of 3 or something like that, and that just makes the work so that you can actually get something effectively done. Otherwise, you're going to pick at it, but it's not going to get anywhere, and you're going to get ejected because of your failure, and you're not going to want to do it anymore. Because who likes to fail? Nobody likes to fail. So you got to do it in small steps, and then work outwards in those concentric circles.
This is David Tulis. We're talking with Dustin Sprick, who is a programmer, has 4 children with his wife, Allison, lives in Appleton. And we're talking about how the difference between network and community, how you create social capital. What is social capital? And we're talking in some context here, or in some respects here, of borrowing from Christianity. Even though you, my listener, may not be a Christian, this is the Christian concept, and we're seeing how it applies to the details. It is creating community, creating connection, and identification. It's a matter of identification with people in a particular place. So that requires proximity, you might say geocentrism, in one location. And so we're trying to understand that whole idea. We're trying to be Nooga-centric, if you will, here in Chattanooga. But these ideas are not trademarks, and you may borrow them, even though you are the trucker traveling through Chattanooga on your way to Miami with that very heavy load. Safe travels, and take these ideas and transplant them at your place.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world. News Talk 1240.
On this cruise ship, your favorite pool makes its own way. The sun is getting low. You're not too bad yourself. Smart guy. Take advice and deals from Expedia in Chattanooga. Great food, great fellow passengers, great friends. Terrific prices, free upgrades. Use the card with the onboard credit for a cold one. Maybe use it in the game room. Expedia Rail, Expedia Flights, Expedia Cars. Maybe you're ready time for dinner. Expedia Cruise Ship Center is on Gun Barrel near Best Buy. 551-3770.
There's a reason why Alliance Physical Therapy is a choice of professionals and those who care about first-class, top-notch service and treatment. Because at Alliance Physical Therapy of Chattanooga, we don't just treat the symptoms in your body. Whether you're suffering from stiffness, muscle spasms, back pain, chronic headaches every day, stress of life demanding more and more of you, Alliance Physical Therapy takes a holistic approach to healing mind, body, and soul. Alliance Physical Therapy with a location near you and 9 others in the Chattanooga area. If you don't have a doctor or if your physician's plan for chronic pain is not working, Alliance Physical Therapy will help. Visit Alliance Physical Therapy on the web at nopainpt.com. That's nopainpt.com. Alliance Physical Therapy.
Are you shovel ready? Ready to build a house, but you're not a builder? Are you shovel ready? Michael's Homes is ready to bulldoze its way to a solution for you. You have ideas on what you want in a house, but you're looking for someone to bring your ideas into a plan and turn your plan into a house. Michael's Homes, custom builder. Michael's Homes has lots available and a new subdivision. River Bay Estates, that's Harrison. Maybe River Watch in Saudi Daisy. Choices galore, lots, houses, beautiful homes all over Chattanooga. The Canyons, Hickson. Crystal Brook, Appleton. Drive in. Take a look. Consult with us. We build on your lot or ours. Homes-Chattanooga.com.
Call 423-413-9929. And now to our reporter in the field.
We asked Ray at Ray's Plumbing what's important for homeowners to know.
Some field line systems can cost upwards of $10,000. The bottom line is save yourself money down the road. I would definitely recommend everybody with a septic that is not on county or city sewer to have an inspection done by a qualified professional. It'd be great if nobody did inspections on them for all plumbing companies. That's what we do to make a living. Not to scare anyone, but it should be in the back of your mind. The danger is the field line failing and costing thousands upon thousands of dollars and tearing your yard up. But by preventative maintenance, you're saving yourself a large headache that may displace yourself and your family. That happens more often than you think. The waste is designed to stay in the tank, and that waste will build up over time. Even with treatment, we have to help that waste break down. Ultimately, preventative maintenance is the key that will keep you from spending $5,000 to $10,000 on replacing your septic system. Bottom line is to save yourself money down the road.
Call Ray at Ray's Plumbing, 421-6341, 421-6341.
cash, cash, and dash, and dash, and dash, and dash, and dash, and dash, and more cash. Rick Davis does the cash when you sell gold, silver, diamonds, rings, and jewelry. Sell Rick your precious metals today and lock in your price. Hey, Rick Davis will trade your cash for shiny, brilliant, and heavy gold. Gold cheaper now by $100 an ounce. Joining the Rick Davis Silver Bonanza too. Price is so low, the Lone Ranger is bound to gallop in, Kimosabe. Hey, silver, away! The markets are changing, so buy now. Cash, 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 and more cash for your silver and gold, gold, gold. Rick Davis, 5301 Brainerd Road. That's 5301 Brainerd Road. Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. Oh, and cash, cash, cash. You know where it is. Hey, silver, away!
McCune Williams and Ashley PLLC offers a full array of legal services to meet the needs of businesses and individuals. Our attorneys represent diverse backgrounds, interests, and legal emphasis, but we share one common goal: providing the highest quality legal services to our clients through the combination of our talents, experience, and expertise. In each case, we strive to tailor those services to meet each client's specific circumstances: business law, business organization, civil litigation, commercial litigation, conservatorship and guardian law, bankruptcy law, just to name a few. With over 188 years of combined experience, McCune Williams Ashley PLLC is here to help you and your business succeed. MWALawfirm.com. That's MWALawfirm.com. Call 423-756-6400. That's 423-756-6400.
Any way that you kill somebody when they're innocent and defenseless is detestable.
My biological mother was 7.5 months pregnant when she had a saline abortion, which was meant to burn me both inside and out. And the doctors have also said that I should be blind and all of these horrendous things. Praise the Lord, the abortionist was not on duty the moment that I came into the world. Praise the Lord, the abortionist was not on duty the moment that I came into the world. I was actually delivered in an abortion clinic. Had he been there at the time, he could have ended my life with strangulation, suffocation, or leaving me there to die. But a nurse called an ambulance and had me transferred to a hospital. Had he been there at the time, he could have ended my life with strangulation, suffocation, or leaving me there to die. So then I was placed in the incubator, weighing 2 pounds, and they said I would die. And yet I just kept on living.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got third. He's going for second. Earnhardt going for the lead.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network.
News Talk 1240.
Hear it live on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Check it out live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
News Talk 1240.
Charge! Get back there, you dang Yankee! Great horny toads, I'm up north. Gonna burn my boots. They touch Yankee soil. Lay down your arms and step forward, Yankee.
What's the hassle, Schmansel?
My orders from General Lee is to hold the Macy-Dixie line and no Yankees are crossing it.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world. You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
WSDT Sunny Daisy, Chattanooga.
CBS News, I'm Frank Sedapani. Democrats in Congress are determined to force an independent investigation into reports of Russian interference in the presidential election. CBS's Steve Dorsey tells us a meeting is scheduled 90 minutes from now in the wake of Michael Flynn's resignation as National Security Advisor.
The emergency meeting of Senate Democrats follows Flynn's resignation and repeated contacts between the Trump campaign and Russia. It's part of an effort to put pressure on GOP leaders to create a bipartisan commission to investigate President Trump's ties to Russia. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said yesterday Flynn may have broken the law during conversations with the Russian ambassador before the inauguration.
2 hours from now, President Trump and the Israeli Prime Minister will meet at the White House.
Benjamin Netanyahu is in for a very warm welcome. He and Donald Trump see eye to eye on most Mideast issues. The White House has signaled Mr. Trump may steer U.S. policy away from the two-state solution pushed by the last two presidents. Officials here suggest a Palestinian state alongside Israel is not the goal. if it doesn't bring peace.
CBS's Stephen Portnoy. Two senior Palestinian officials say CIA Director Mike Pompeo secretly held talks in the West Bank with Mahmoud Abbas. That's the first high-level meeting between the Palestinian leader and the Trump administration. In Brussels, Washington has your back is the message Defense Secretary James Mattis is delivering at a NATO meeting, but he said maintaining the alliance is a shared responsibility.
It's a fair demand that all who benefit from the best defense in the world carry their proportionate share of the necessary cost to defend freedom.
It may come as no surprise that almost every young driver in a AAA study admitted texting behind the wheel. What may be surprising is the level of bad behavior by more seasoned motorists.
The researchers were surprised to learn that 1 out of 10 drivers between 60 and 74 have also texted or sent emails while driving, while 37% of those over 75 said they'd run a red light. In fact, well over half of drivers in every age group have broken at least one driving law, one possible explanation for the rising traffic death rate. Vicki Barker, CBS News.
Thousands of families forced out of homes below California's Oroville Dam dodged a bullet.
We are home, yes.
But more heavy rain is expected to begin falling tonight, raising the new threat of serious flooding if the emergency patch on a weekend spillway fails. County Sheriff Corey Honey can't rule out the second round of mass evacuations.
We're telling them that they have to be vigilant. They have to pay attention to what's going on.
Officials in cities on the East Coast will be rolling out the Willkommen mat. Lidl, the German no-frills supermarket chain, will open the first of 100 new stores ahead of schedule this summer. The government says retail sales were up less than 0.5% in December, after a full 1% gain the month before. In early Wall Street trading, the Dow Industrials are up 30 points. This is CBS News.
Hiring is the most challenging part of my job. It's really hard. The searching, the sorting through resumes. Most people don't have the right experience.
We started using ZipRecruiter about 3 months ago. Right from the start, you could tell it was going to make hiring a lot easier. One click and my job was posted to 200 plus job boards, all the top sites.
All of the candidates came to my dashboard, and it's easy to compare them. Thumbs up if I liked them, thumbs down if I didn't. No emails and attachments, printing up docs, phone calls, none of that.
And I couldn't believe the number of great applicants we got. I had the person we needed within 1 week. I don't know how we hired before ZipRecruiter.
Whether you're looking to fill one position or 20, find the best candidates with ZipRecruiter, where your job is just one click away from 200 plus job sites. ZipRecruiter, the fastest way to hire. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/talk. That's ZipRecruiter.com/talk. ZipRecruiter.com/talk.
Malaysia is holding a woman with Vietnamese travel papers in connection with the assassination of North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un's half-brother. CBS's Adriana Diaz is following the story from Beijing.
According to South Korean media, Kim Jong-nam was attacked by 2 female assassins with poisoned needles at a Malaysian airport. There were other reports that the estranged half-brother of North Korea's leader had a cloth sprayed with a chemical shoved on his face. Malaysian police confirmed Kim Jong-nam was rushed to the hospital where he was declared dead on arrival.
North Korea is demanding the return of Kim's body. Malaysia has been holding it for an autopsy. Here at home, new government research confirms a strong and steady decline in HIV infections. The Centers for Disease Control says new infections fell by 18% over a 6-year period. 2/3 of all new cases involve gay or bisexual men. Frank Sedapani, CBS.
Are you kidding?
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds. We'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Expect a wet start here Tuesday. A few early showers, but they'll be heading to the east with dry, breezy, and cooler weather ahead. Highs only near 50. Tonight, clear. Cold lows 29 to 31. For Thursday, highs into the mid and upper 50s. Lots of sun. Warmer for Friday. Looking for your dream home? McBriar Realty can help. With decades of experience, they get big-time results with small-town values. Licensed for the tri-state area, check McBriarRealty.com for their complete listings. And I'm Swarm Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr. On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
Truex Jr. is off the pace and he is headed to the pit lane. Elliott powers around the outside. Michael McDowell puts the race front tire. Here's Mark Truex to the bottom. Wait, blocked him off too. He locked Chase Elliott went 4 wide on the back straightaway. They're side by side for the lead.
Here
it live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station. Fox News Talk 1240, the voice of NASCAR. Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's David Tulis.
Make sure to go to Nooganomics.com to read the latest in the Gaddy case. The Gaddys have stood their ground and have insisted that there is no administrative authority that can trump their constitutionally guaranteed rights to be free from search and seizure apart from a warrant. A warrant, of course, requires an argument for or a statement under oath about a criminal act. And these are an elderly couple, 69 and 71 years old. They've done nothing criminal. And yet, Dunlap city government demands access for an inspection of this house that has undergone loving remodeling and repair for the past 10 or 15 years. Find out more at Nooganomics.com, the website of which I'm the mild-mannered editor. That is to say, bow tie, David Tulis with the sensible shoes and the jacket. And here in our powerful magnetic radio studio, at Nooga Radio, we're talking with Dustin Spreck, who's a programmer, and we have a fascinating question before us, and that is in part the distinction between community and network. Local economy, our leading theme here at Nooga Radio, says that we need to have a stronger local economy, and we need to forge it one person at a time, one soul at a time, if you will. And the context is, of course, the fall, Adam's fall. And in Adam, we've all sinned. We've sinned all. And the effects of the fall in the national government and national economy, which is stricken today. We may have a powerful head at the top of the basketball, but he's no bigger than a pinhead. And the system is ingrown and broken and highly, highly illiquid, full of malinvestment that faces liquidation because of easy money that has allowed many things to be built and overbuilt. That is the national economy scene today. And there is the prospect of disaster ahead, where there is a recognition that these systems built up by promises to pay are not genuine, and they are in fact monuments to bad decisions that often take the form of strip malls and new rows of trucks from Detroit and Japan and all kinds of things bought for on credit. Dustin Spreck is a programmer. He works as a telecommuter. His boss employer is in California in the medical oral digital image field, and he works in the part of that company that's a management software system. He tinkers on that remotely, living in Appleton with his wife Allison and 4 children on 6 acres. And why is he living in a rural setting on that much land? Why is land so important? We're wondering. Dustin, the question I wanted to ask you next is in the direction of social capital. How do we have more social capital rather than less? And you're a practicing Christian and live out the claims of God upon you. And so I think that would be helpful in understanding some of your motives. But how is it in your analysis that we have a growing monoculture? And really what we need is, maybe thanks to the internet, thanks to the gospel perhaps, we need to have a more diverse culture. Talk about this problem of the monoculture made in the past decades across the landscape.
All right. So from my perspective, as I read the news and I pay attention to kind of world politics, and I don't really have a lot of say in those matters. And that's the problem of being the individual at as the programmer. I'm just not in those in that realm of making decisions. So, but as far as nations are concerned, nations are typically made of a group of people that have similar beliefs. That's kind of the definition of a nation, or at least how it was intended to be. What we're seeing now in our culture and in the world is the transport of people from one place to another. They bring different conflicting cultures into the same nation. And then they start kind of building up and building up and building up. And so if you look at historically, the collapse of like the Roman Empire or anything like that you'll see historical is that it's based on a a culture that is like or homogeneous, and then it's infiltrated by mass immigration. Mass immigration always causes war. And so what happens is you get those conflicting cultures that can't. Someone has to be in control. Someone has to be dominant, and somebody may not want to be dominant. And so then you get your war, and then you get your nation state. So everything kind of goes from a central location and then becomes distributed again, much like networks that we do nowadays. We had central areas where you had central servers, but now that they have those built up, they distribute or make multiple different areas where you can have like the same information but on different physical locations. So in case something happens, like in the Northwest where you have a server and it breaks, then you still have all your data over on the East Coast where the issue hopefully didn't happen, and that can be retrieved. So you're not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Well, how does the computing paradigm fit with what you're saying about the rise and fall of nations?
Well,
I didn't quite catch the meaning there.
So basically, we came from a localized, everything's in one location, everything's stored on this one giant computer. That's the original computer, right? And then we moved from that, where our nation is similar. We started with kind of all the same thing, and then now what we've done is we've brought in multiple different cultures to our country. And so now what you're going to see is the breaking apart of those central locations into subgroups. And then that's going to be the diversification, the real diversification of a nation, and it'll cause it to break apart.
So it sounds like, I don't know that we're needing to talk about immigration necessarily, but immigration is the free movement of people into an area. Is immigration generally good for let's say the Chattanooga area, or generally bad? If I could just stop on that platform for a minute.
It depends on the kind of immigration that we're talking about. So if you have like moving to like, you're good. That's not going to cause a problem. The problem is when you have the diversity that is in conflict and doesn't necessarily add to the same goal, that's when you're going to cause the issues that we're kind of seeing in our culture. You're going to get different areas that are kind of breaking apart or become inward looking, that they only care about their group, and who cares about the other group across the road because they're on the west side and I'm on the east side, and I don't care about the west side anymore because they're not my people.
Well, the United States is 50 nations, 300 million people. There are great differences among the types of characters and backgrounds and outlooks, say, between Oregon, from where you came, and the South here in the Chattanooga area. And yet it's still fair to say, I think, that we have a kind of monoculture in the direction of people being consumers, people having they've been subsidized into thinking certain ways that allows for alienation, breaking up of families, breaking up of private groups, private associations. Many of these evidences of private life have gone. We have the individual, it seems, and government, and the national government. So we don't have these intervening bodies, including the church, as we used to. So, what is the prospect of American monoculture? How can it obtain diversity again?
So inevitably it will, in the sense that you're going to create subgroups or nation states that are smaller groups inside of even the states, the geographical states that we have. You're going to find that it's going to break up. It has to. It always does historically. So, but what kind of we're talking about in the sense of the historical aspect is Christianity was the foundational principle behind the movement of people to America. It was the pretty much main driving force. They're moving from over in England and Spain. They wanted some freedom from the church. And so the Catholic Church in particular at that time. And so they moved over to America to kind of get outside of that, and it kind of formed more of the Protestant kind of stronghold. And so what happened there is you had a whole bunch of people, they all believed the same thing. They all had an external goal, which was God, and then built kind of their structure of society on that. And so when we're seeing our culture, again, people are moving here, from other places, or we have other ideas from other places that are popping up in our culture, and those change from the principles that it was built on. Something has to change. Like, your structure no longer works.
Well, you're sort of suggesting, I don't know that you mean to, you're sort of suggesting, Dustin's brick, that monoculture is good. I think in the analysis that we're proposing, monoculture is not a good thing. If by that we mean the consumer culture, consumerism.
Right. No. So the good thing would be the diversifying the cultures and creating subgroups that you can move to or move out of if you don't agree with them, so that you're surrounded by people who kind of you're surrounding yourself with like in some ways, and so you can make more progress with that like than others. But you're always going to have that. I mean, even a family is like compared to the greater Chattanooga area, compared to the state, compared to the nation. And so it depends on what externally you're serving. So are you serving the state? Or are you serving something that's higher? So you could say Christianity in a lot of ways is monoculture in the sense that they all believe in God. But culturally, you would serve him in a different way. Individually, that would be where your kind of diversity comes into play.
Charles Hugh Smith, one of the writers we've mentioned in our discussions, in his book, for example, Resistance, Revolution, and Liberation, says that we have a consumerist monoculture. It's been made that way by the state's atomizing of private culture. These intervening bodies, as I suggest, have been made to disappear. We don't have these, for example, corporate insurance that's replaced family insurance, health cost sharing organizations that dotted the landscape in the late 1800s. We have what he calls a socio-pathological construct that is consumerism, where your identity is tied to what you buy and how much you buy and even how much debt you have. It's tied to brands, and this is not a real deep identity. To be like he suggests, to be a consumer is not to be a very deep person, and is to be really always in debt, always serving what I call the tapeworm economy, serving the debt economy, the manufacturing marketing economy. In your life, Dustin, you've made efforts to get away from that. How have you tried to get away from that consumerist monoculture in your life here in Chattanooga?
So in a lot of ways, culture we're talking about kind of is like idolatry. So your country is the state, and so the state becomes your idol. It's the one that's the driving force behind your choices, as opposed to, for me, the Christianity where God is the driving force. So a lot of times you're going to find yourself drifting one way or the other and serving different idols in this case. And so the only real thing you can fix is that which is on your local level. Like you as a person, you can only change you and that which is immediate to you. And so you have to make decisions based on the immediacy of that. So sort of in a lot of ways, it's selfish.
Well, be specific here. You're talking very vaguely. Yeah. Be specific.
Okay.
Give 2 examples of what you're talking about. All
right. So in our church, we have one of the ladies, and her husband died a while ago, and they have a son, and their son is in our Sunday school. So he had a bunch of work and chores to do around the house, but he didn't really he didn't have enough time and just energy and experience to deal with some of these issues. Like there's some gutters falling down, there was some roofing issues that were going on with the house, and he didn't really have the experience because he's younger. And so what we did is, as a Sunday school, my smaller community, is that we said, hey, you know what, this is a real need, and we can spend our time and attention and and our wealth in that sense, and we're going to take our kids with us when we go and we fix this person's roof, fix the gutters, do some work around the place so that it so the roof doesn't collapse and fall in, and then they got a bigger issue. So you're preventing by intervening early the larger issue, which is going to be the house roof falls in and then somebody gets hurt, and now the person goes to the hospital or something like that. Now you're paying for them to be in the hospital. So it behooves you as a community to insert yourselves as a preventative measure and do it as a family, so that your children can see what's going on and know how to act as they go forward too.
And so in this example, in this idea of community, Dustin, your old mother or your old dad who lived, let's say, in New England, is now, he's a widower. Usually the widow is the one that is a survivor. But he's a widower, and now he's paying a lot of money through Medicare to stay in a nursing home. And so you've decided, well, we're going to bring him here. It seems that there would be many advantages for the listener to say, well, I'm going to take care of my own parents and put up with them or the survivor in my house or in my immediate context. And one advantage to that is that it shows your children that what to do, right? Because if you want your children to take care of you, you have to make every effort to take care of your own parents or your own parent.
Yeah, that's right. So that was one of the reasons that we moved here into the South, was to get with my wife's parents and be available as they get older. They're going to need help. And so we intentionally moved here for the purpose of raising our children with them so that they can see both their qualities and our failings so that we can learn how to grow healthy and still create a very strong, important community, because, you know, a lot of times blood for a lot of people is very important, and it is. And so we're just intentionally doing it as a way to invest in the future.
So you're showing God's grace to your to Allison's parents. You're living an example. You're teaching your children not just by talking to them about, well, you need to take care of your parents when they're old and cranky, but you're living out what you are also occasionally saying to them about their need to love their parents and to fear them and respect them.
Yeah. Without the kind of quality building up of their character, even the difficulties and the failures, you're going to create a lopsided, person. They're not going to understand that life is actually tough sometimes, and that not everybody's perfect. So, and I don't think there's any kids out there that would actually believe that, but at the same time, it's good to teach them how to deal with issues.
The American monoculture says that government takes care of your family and your parents. You have old age care, old age insurance, as it's fraudulently dubbed. It's not really insurance, but you have this welfare program for the elderly, and that the fact that you have that program and many others makes sclerotic and hardened those tendrils of connection, those spiritual connections with other people in your own family, that you don't have to exercise them, you don't have to keep them pulsing, because, well, mom is now, with her Medicare payments and her Blue Cross Blue Shield supplemental insurance, she is in the care of the state, and we can go and see her on Sunday after church. And that's the extent of our duty to her. We're free from having to worry about her need to have her diaper changed today when she soils it.
Yeah, you get free of the inconvenience, right? And so you can go and do your own thing, live your own life, and get your own stuff, and do your, what pleases you, and not what is good for you.
So your idea is that the Christian life, but also just the life of being kind of community minded, is diverse culture. Is that true? Is what you're suggesting creating a diverse culture as opposed to the monoculture that we're complaining about?
Well, yes. So you're always going to kind of end up with a similar. You can only break an atom down to its very basic parts, right? So a family unit is kind of the basic social structure. So you can only break it down to that point. After that, you get individuals, but that's like an atom without electrons, just kind of spinning around. It doesn't really serve a purpose. It can't stick to anything. So the concept is for me at least, is my children are going to be the future for everybody. So I'm going to try to make them as best an image of God as I can, because that is what's going to serve everyone else, not just them, but everyone, more effectively. And then by that, you're kind of creating diverse culture in our nation, because our nation as a state is the idol or the God of the nation, right? It's, you pay your money into him, you give him, Caesar his money and all that kinds of stuff, and then he decides what he's going to do with it, as opposed to the individual. And that would be, or your family group, which would be your diverse culture, which would make those decisions on a very local, next door kind of area. Yeah.
Our value, Dustin Sprick, is in our capital is in social connection, not in acquisition.
Right.
Acquisition in the marketplace where we have the latest brands, the latest gadget, the latest fishing boat, the latest car, all borrowed into existence. Our value is not in that and the big checking account and mutual funds and the annuity necessarily. It's in social connections. It's in the value that we have. Our neighbors being made in God's image, we look out for them. And if we care about people one by one, going as far as we can with any particular person, as far as our means go, we are creating a connection. And that person, we can help that person again in the future. That person trusts us. At some point, we might be able to have that person help us.
Right.
Well, listen, thanks, Dustin, for joining us.
You're welcome.
We're talking with Dustin Sprick, and we've been discussing the whole idea of social capital and the difference between community and network. This is David Tulis at Nooga Radio, where we're on Facebook, we're live on YouTube, and tune us in with the TuneIn Radio app. It's a free app. You can have it on your smartphone anytime, especially if you get past our fabulous signal. This is David Tulis.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
AM 1240 Nooga Radio News, Russell Stroud reporting. The Chattanooga Police Department has unveiled 15 cameras which will be placed around the city in order to monitor crime like a CCTV system. They'll be able to monitor them live from their Chattanooga Police Department laptops and from the Real-Time Crime Center. The CPD has released a list of where the cameras will be placed, but they've made a note that they will be easily movable, so the list is very much not permanent. Another shooting in Chattanooga, this one on Tuesday night when Robert Blocker, who's 36, was shot. He drove himself to the hospital where staff reported his condition to the police. He's suffering from only minor gunshot wounds, and the gunman is still somewhere on the loose. A new proposal for the city is being developed by Chris Anderson and Chip Henderson regarding services like Airbnb and other short-term rental services. A previous proposal was shot down by the city council as they said that residents had concerns about the rentals in their own neighborhoods. A man has been arrested after a series of thefts from the Orchard Knob Elementary School. Laptops and TVs were taken, and Adrian Morrison has now been arrested. Police say he confessed to the crime.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Final expenses, funeral costs, cemetery lots, unpaid medical bills, probate costs, debts. Debts are due and payable upon death of debtor. Will these costs produce a burden and hardship on your loved ones? Who will be responsible? How will they handle them? These costs can total many thousands of dollars, only compounding greater with the grief of losing a family member. A safe and secure way to provide for these costs is with an affordable life insurance from Covenant Group Insurance and Financial Services. Covenant Group is a local company with local agents. Covenant Group still makes house calls. Covenant Group only represents A-rated companies. With many options to offer, Covenant Group can accommodate almost any budget. Great discounts for good health and plans available for impaired risk. Call today for a free, no-obligation consultation in the convenience of your home. Call Steve or Jada at 423-855-8484. Call today, 423-855-8484.
$25 goes by quickly these days, and 25 cents still just a quarter. 25 is the years of experience Schultz & Associates puts behind filing your tax return. Quickly, correctly, and electronically. Schultz & Associates. Hi, I'm Chip Chapman with this question. Are you concerned about getting a timely refund this year? There is a solution. Ask Schultz & Associates about Refund Advantage. It's a no-interest loan that allows you to get your tax refund quickly. But some tax refund product fees do apply, so make sure and understand the details. You can receive your refund quickly via check or prepaid credit card. Ask about Refund Advantage when you visit Schultz & Associates, 6310 Bonnie Oaks Drive, or call 899-1130. Schultz & Associates.
Baseball sluggers often wear the number 25, or 25 is a full MLB roster. Just happens 25 is also the years of experience Schultz & Associates puts behind filing your tax return quickly, correctly, and electronically. Schultz & Associates, 899-1130.
Oh, he's got bad breath. And once he slobbered. But your dog's teeth are important for his health. The canine dentist at Wolf Fever has an offer. List ultrasonic cleaning, polishing, x-rays, only $135. Ordinarily, you'd pay $175. For a few days, pay only $135. And get $150 in freebies as a thank you. Grooming, boarding at the inn at Wolf Fever. Act this week. Use anytime this year. Floss and rinse now. 344-1913. WolfFever.com. Your marriage is over. You've been abandoned, betrayed. You're angry, shattered, and heartbroken. Don't go it alone. When you are facing divorce, you need an experienced advocate to help protect your rights and future. And you need it from a man with a sympathetic heart, but a hard nose. Attorney Clay Whitaker will fight for you in this most confusing and bitter time in your life. Clay Whitaker, 756-6400.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Expect a wet start here Tuesday. A few early showers, but they'll be heading to the east with dry, breezy, and cooler weather ahead. Highs only near 50. Tonight, clear. Cold lows 29 to 31. For Thursday, highs into the mid and upper 50s. Lots of sun. Warmer for Friday. Looking for your dream home? McBride Realty can help. With decades of experience, they get big-time results with small-town values. Licensed for the tri-state area. Check McBrideRealty.com for their complete listings. And I'm Storm Machine 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Moore on AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
This is David Tulis. I do thank you for giving me a couple minutes of your time. We're live on Facebook. I'm just getting my Facebook camera into position, and live on YouTube. If you are have an old aunt who doesn't get out much, she can learn about local economy, the free markets, and local news by keeping her eye on her PC, in which she has tuned in the Nooga Radio channel on YouTube. Watch there, and she can pass judgment if she would like to on whether my bow tie matches my shirt and jacket. It's a rose-colored shirt and a blue tie and a blue, navy blue jacket. Maybe she'll give you a daily weather report on the Tulis costume here at Nooga Radio. The City Council members voted 8-0 to approve video surveillance cameras, and the story is presented in the news cycle today as security and crime prevention. Of course, that's how news is often delivered. It's delivered on a kind of outcome-based basis. We describe things as to their intent, not to their actual effect. Intent is to solve crimes and to survey the public with facial recognition software and a massive database of all people that pass under the view of the eye on the pole. And it's kind of spying on the poor. That is what's happening, is spying on the poor, and everybody, including members of the black establishment. Moses Freeman, for example, in favor of it. He says, we all feel excited about what is happening to our police department with not only the technology, but the personnel. And he's citing the police department's professionalism. This, of course, is very important. Professionalism. And 8-0, everybody votes in favor of a contract for $750,000, according to the Chattanooga Times-Free Press. Also, a report at WRCB TV 9 by Kate Smith. And the framing of this story is that it is for security and safety. That is always how the media does it. It always pretends to offer as news the intention, rather than to say city sets up spy cameras, as I would put the story, that will trap everybody's face who goes through that. Everybody's face that looks up at that camera is automatically subjected to a search in the database. If that face is wanted in the NCIS system, or or the databases, that person will be flagged. Okay, so what we have is the eye in the sky. We have a kind of Skynet, though the craft are not floating. They do not fire missiles or lasers to scurrying insurgents on the ground, but is maybe 30 or 40 feet above the surface of the street with an eye, a great eye that the city council favors to be there at 15 locations. There are 15 pole-mounted cameras, and there's also a separate $137,905 contract for networking software. $250,000 of the agreement will install a video monitor wall at the Real-Time Intelligence Center run by Mayor Andy Burke. This is, of course, something that he would claim as a benefit, claim as a point in early voting that you should take part in. You should vote early starting today. And through, I think, March the 2nd is early voting. Place your vote for him and place it on again on Election Day if you're able to do that. Dana Vaughn from the police department, the assistant police chief, thank you, she says, for the tremendous amount of support you are showing our police department. I've been here over 20 years, and this is probably the most exciting thing in my career to watch the technology come forward like you guys are allowing it to proceed. You want me to talk about important policy issues? Well, let me just say the expression about you guys. How is it that I'm in a restaurant with an old woman, 93 years old, maybe my wife, and a son, and the chirpy waitress comes up and refers to us as you guys? To correct such a harangue, I often say, well, we guys would like to start with water, and and it sounds a little strange to refer to yourself as one of we guys, right? But that's the best I can do in the way of being genteel and not harsh, right? I don't want to be harsh about this current popular usage of the you guys. And if I were a servant of the executive branch, I would certainly deign not to refer to the grandees of the legislative branch of city government, the city council, as that. I would say sirs or lady and gentlemen. That's probably how I would want to refer to the members. Other police intelligence gathering purchases, according to the story in the Chattanooga Times Free Press this morning, include the agreement for $316,000 for data management services and face matching software. So they have to rent the software. And there's also part of the agreement, roughly $30,000 for annual maintenance and support. There's another part of that amount for $40,000 for a mobile app that lets the department push notifications to citizens, and through which citizens can report activity in a real-time environment. So again, it is a safety issue, and it's the lead of Kate Smith at WRCB is in the third sentence. It's the department's attempt to crack down on crime throughout Chattanooga. There's a reference here in her story to Barbara Robinson and a sister, Mary Smith, are near Dodson Avenue. I've been selling Valentine's Day baskets out here today. They've lived in Chattanooga most of their lives, and she says that there's plenty of crime in the neighborhoods. Breaks my heart. It is terrible. I wish it was better. That's kind of a weak lead example of the person in the street reaction. But that's the story. The video is streamed. The story says to CPD's Real-Time Intelligence Center. The video would be recorded and saved for about a month, 30 days. Me, myself, I'm not doing anything I shouldn't be doing. It would keep crime down a bit in our area, says Barbara Robinson. The goal for the cameras is to deter crime, capture evidence, and confirm eyewitness testimony. There's a quote here, I'm not sure from whom, Danny Clay. He says, enough funerals going on with plenty of pretty innocent people or people at the wrong place at the wrong time. Again, this is quotes sometimes they convey barely any information at all to advance the story, and yet there they are in the story. This man, Danny Clay, also says people need to be protected. That is the bottom line. It's all about policing. As long as it is done in a fair manner, no, I do not have a problem with that. So the quotes are really not very focused. But they do reflect the general tenor of Americans, and that is that we need to be safe, and we need to have the total state to make us safe. We have to have at every turn. We really can't be free. We really can't face risks. Risk is bad, and we need to have facial recognition software running constantly on cameras, constantly sucking up faces. That's what's happening. The camera sucks up faces and instantly matches them to the database. So if your face appears on the camera here in Chattanooga and it's a blank, well, you can pass on. And if you don't do anything within the 30-day period of that image having been captured, well, you will be your picture will be deleted. So we're told. Now, the question I think is for local economy: do we really want to have the continuation of the regulatory principle versus the common law principle? In common law that we used to have, there is no crime until there's a body, right? Unless there's an injury, a death, a harm, a wrong, there is no crime. And we let people free in the whole area there of human life. It's all free. There's no regulation, no licensing, no permissions, no watching, no allowances, no subsidies, right? No special favors or prohibitions, right? There's no privilege, no extension of state privilege into the marketplace. There is no, the state does not have an interest where the people are free, right? That's the basic principle. If the people are a free people of Tennessee, there is no interest the state has in anything that they do, anywhere that they go, with any whom they consort, with anyone they deal with. There is no state interest in that. But now, not now, but for decades, continuing the policy that we've come to know and love, there is the total state, and the total state is concerned with not justice but safety, and that puts the modern practice at odds with Christianity and the Ten Commandments. The Christian society, if you read into God's law, you read into how the law of God operates, how Christian society works. It is a free society. It is a highly horizontal society. There is not much hierarchy in it at all. It's not vertical in its orientation. It's horizontal, and implying free association and voluntary arrangements. And the state is not lowering over every transaction, surveying every deed, giving permissions left and right for people to do things. It is not a society of permissions. It is a society of freedom. That the Bible, if Christian people would just believe it, if Christian ministers would just preach it, we would be a society in which there is no state interest in safety whatsoever. But there would be an interest of the state in justice, and that is the limits of its power, the limit of its capacity, the limit really of its warrant. This is David Tulis, and I'm glad you're giving me a couple of minutes every time. We've got a lot of news to get to. The cameras are really important, and tell about how on the city council there is no one who really sees the times. They all think they're seeing the times, ganging up in favor of surveillance cameras for the purpose of security. But I think what the story is really that all of them are wrong. Every single one of them, city council members, including Larry Groen, the pro-police candidate for mayor, are not seeing the times and not seeing where our country is going and not seeing where the regulatory system that with which we are long familiar is going and has gone. We need to be a people who love liberty and who object to the simple answers of technology. Everyone seems to be bitten by the security and technology bug. If we can do it, let's do it. There is nothing wrong in principle to have poor black people in these neighborhoods which are closely surveyed by the police. There's nothing wrong with them being spied upon and their photographs sucked into the camera system of the police department. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It keeps them all safe is the rationale. But I wonder, have we not lived long enough on the plantation? Has not the black man lived long enough under the watchful eye of the white man, the white Anglo-Saxon New England establishment, and his proxies here in Chattanooga. I think we deserve this. We deserve to be surveyed because I think we don't really deserve to be free. And we don't clamor for justice enough. I'm discerning in my dealings in the marketplace. We don't clamor for justice, but we do clamor for security, and we heartily endorse, as the city council has, a promise of security by the master eye on the pole, the eye on the pole, keeping us safe, keeping us secure. There's a story that Mike Perry wrote this morning in the Chattanooga Times Press that I wanted to mention about the demise of the local bike shop. It's a very sad story, telling of the power of national economy versus local economy. And I'm trying to find the printout here. But before I mention that, I wanted to. Okay, I've got it in my hand here. Mention Bob Corker's comment in an interview across the span of carpet there in the committee room with Grandma Yellen. Grandma Yellen is the chairman of the Federal Reserve System, which has been responsible for the grand drunken party of the American economy for the past 10 years, which has extended, ballooned the credit denominated in dollars into a fantastic cyst, you might say a fantastic tumor, which looks muscular and rich. It throbs, seemingly full of life and vigor. But it is a tumor, and that is the dead economy. In the federal budget, but also in national economy, the tapeworm economy that wants you to pay for your sandwich with a mortgage payment and wants you to buy a bottle of water at the Walmart with your credit card. That's the tapeworm economy. Bob Corker says, you're hoping the administration will develop policies that cause a sustainable trajectory relative to fiscal issues. Is there anything that you're seeing coming down the pipe, probably she said pike, or being debated that has caused you to raise that issue? She says, according to the story in Chattanooga.com, I think we've known for many, many years that the U.S. fiscal trajectory is not sustainable. That's of course, her way of saying that we are bringing the country to ruin with your help. Senator Corker added that Congress has been conducting itself in a totally inappropriate way as it relates to the deficit, and he agreed, according to the story with Yellen, that our country's fiscal trajectory has been a long-standing problem that could be made even worse by certain policies being discussed on Capitol Hill. And now there's a quote from Mrs. Yellen. Well, some of the policies that are being discussed might well raise deficits, and in that context, they may also have impacts on economic growth. I do not, this is mumbo jumbo, okay, just admit it. I do think it's worth pointing out, she says, that fiscal sustainability has been a long-standing problem, and that the U.S. fiscal course, as our population ages and healthcare costs increase, is already not sustainable. And Senator Corker, at the very last line in the story that came out of a press release, says, I agree 100%. That is what's ahead. We face a disaster, a giant disaster in the making, in which there will be no confidence in the story. And these people are telling a story. Even their warnings about the collapse, their warnings about the great liquidation, even they are upholding the narrative, the official narrative, that is that this crisis is vague. It's unclear as to how it will take place. It's unclear as to what monetary basis it will take place upon. It is something that we really don't understand very well. It's kind of mystifying, but we know that there's something ahead. There's a trajectory that's described. It's not sustainable. Well, what that means is, trajectory is when you throw a ball, it draws a clean oval line, and the changes in the trajectory are based upon gravity, velocity, and the density and volume of that projectile. Well, that means that at some point it's going to land by its own force. It also could be that it hits something and suddenly drops, just hits something and it's suddenly like a branch, and falls down, kind of in a heap. Well, either way, they're telling you that it's a bad thing that's happening, right? Either it hits the ground in its ordinary trajectory, in which it's destined to take, or it hits something and it falls straight down. Either way, it's going down. They're telling you, and yet you don't have to worry about it too much. So you see, we have the warning, but it's couched in a way to make us think that nothing is really too serious, and there's something we really need to do about it now and here. Well, this is David Tulis, and Mike Perry at the Times Street Press is telling about the closing of River City Bicycles. It's now over in the Brainerd area, in one of the shopping centers, not too far from Eastgate Town Center. And the owner is Ronald Driver, and he says, tells the newspaper that after 25 years, he's closing his business. And why? Why is his business not sustainable? Well, it's not sustainable because people don't shop local. They don't buy local. They do things online. He says that somewhere in the story here that people buy bicycles not even having sat on them. They buy bicycles sight unseen. We must be an increasingly intelligent people to be able to do that. To buy a bicycle, not ever having sat on it, but having recommendations, having reviews online about the bike. Without healthy and vibrant local sources for bike products, services and repair, growth in cycling participation will be difficult to achieve, says a trade group, National Bicycle Dealers Association. People are buying bikes online. For us, we encourage people to go to local bike shops. They are our best asset. That's Chandra Lovelace of Outdoor Chattanooga, a city agency under our estimable Mayor Andy Burke, discussing the city's area recreational opportunities. And she says that the closing of a retail bike shop doesn't reflect on the scenic city. For us, we encourage people to go to local bike shops. She says the shop used to be on Fremont Street on the North Shore, but then went to Brainerd Village. I've noticed, Ronald Driver, the owner, says, I've noticed a drastic but steady decline in the number of customers coming in for day-to-day items, tubes, tires, brake pads. Now most people are purchasing online. Local economy needs to support local people. And that's what I'm all about. That's what I do. My radio station is a local economy station, the Nooga Century station. Hey, run your spots, run your advertisements here on this station, and you'll find like-minded people coming to your business. Just contact Steve Johnson, my sales manager. David Tulis.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
On this cruise ship, your favorite pool makes its own way. The sun is getting low. Not too bad yourself. Smart guy. Took advice and deals from Expedia in Chattanooga. Great food, great adult passengers, made friends. Terrific spices, free upgrades. Use the card with the onboard credit for a cold one. Maybe use it in a game room. Expedia Rail, Expedia Flights, Expedia Cars. Maybe ready time for dinner. Expedia Cruise Ship Centers on Gun Barrel near Best Buy. 551-3770.
There's a reason why Alliance Physical Therapy is the choice of professionals and those who care about first-class, top-notch service and treatment. Because at Alliance Physical Therapy of Chattanooga, we don't just treat the symptoms in your body. Whether you're suffering from stiffness, muscle spasms, back pain, chronic headaches every day, stress of life demanding more and more of you, Alliance Physical Therapy takes a holistic approach to healing mind, body, and soul. Alliance Physical Therapy with a location near you and 9 others in the Chattanooga area. If you don't have a doctor or if your physician's plan for chronic pain is not working, Alliance Physical Therapy will help. Visit Alliance Physical Therapy on the web at nopainpt.com. That's nopainpt.com. Alliance Physical Therapy.
Are you shovel ready to build a house, but you're not a builder? Are you shovel ready? Michael's Homes is ready to bulldoze its way to a solution for you. You have ideas on what you want in a house, but you're looking for someone to bring your ideas into a plan and turn your plan into a house. Michael's Homes, custom builder. Michael's Homes has lots available at a new subdivision. River Bay Estates, that's Harrison. Maybe River Watch in Saudi Daisy. Choices galore, lots, houses, beautiful homes all over Chattanooga. The Canyons, Dixon, Crystal Brook, Appleton. Drive in. Take a look. Consult with us. We build on your lot or ours. Homes-Chattanooga.com.
Call 423-413-9929. And now to our reporter in the field.
We asked Ray at Ray's Plumbing what's important for homeowners to know.
Some field line systems can cost upwards of $10,000. The bottom line is to save yourself money down the road. I would definitely recommend everybody with a septic that is not on a county or city sewer to have an inspection done by a qualified professional. It'd be great if nobody did inspections on them for all plumbing companies. That's what we do to make a living, not to scare anyone, but it should be in the back of your mind. The danger is the field line failing and costing thousands upon thousands of dollars and tearing your